Cassandra Nova. Yes, she's in comics. She's kind of related to Professor X. You know, that super strong Psionic X-Men type character? Yeah. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of crazy stuff throughout this video. I mean, she is related to Professor X after all. See, her genetics is kind of weird. Cassandra is a member of a species of living emotional energy parasites. And this is what they're called. They are conceived alongside living beings and copy their DNA to become their ultimate opposite, which is technically why they're related, her and Charles. Yep, she has the same DNA as Professor X. And thanks to this reason, this is what helps Cassandra Nova be able to climb into his brain a lot easier, because they share a unique psychic frequency since conception. This is part of the reason why she can penetrate his mind, because it's hard to penetrate Charles's mind. Charles Xavier is so woke that even though Charles is technically too young to know what to do against stuff like this, he apparently slayed her in the womb because of the danger she posed, apparently. Well, at least he attempted to kill it, resulted in the physical body being stillborn. But this video wouldn't exist, so obviously she survived, as a chaotic cellular matter clung to sewer walls for decades, rebuilding its physical form and perfecting its effort to mimic human traits. Deadpool and Wolverine, let's talk about Regeneration. She might give y'all a run for the money, because they reiterate here that she survived as chaotic cellular matter for 40 years, clinging to a sewer wall, waiting until she was strong enough to walk free. It's just a lot to unpack here. So she's kind of unique in the sense that her main ability is to copy the DNA of others and manipulate it to act as a rapid healing factor, or to shift her molecules so as to pass unharmed through solid matter. She can manipulate others' DNA, breaking it down at a molecular level. After copying Charles's DNA, Cassandra accessed the full spectrum of latent mutant functions in his genome, granting herself vast psionic power. When separated from its host, Cassandra was only rudimentary intelligence driven by a need to return to a host. Copying DNA is kind of busted. She even copied Trash's DNA so she can control the Sentinels, to where the Sentinels would go out their way to protect her as well, and also have the Sentinels do some homicidal stuff. Due to this being's unique physiology, one could say the visual form you see might not necessarily be her true self, really, because they talk about her true form is variable. As Cassandra Nova, she's 5'4". That's just like the human shell. One could argue she has a base form and then her true mode. Basically explained to be a bodiless life form, pure emotional energy, which needs the professor's nervous system to work through. That's why you're probably going to see psionic energy constructs around her when she's using her powers and stuff throughout this video. Think of her when you see her looking like a human. She's mimicking human traits, but she's living emotional energy, formless, immense, and just unique. I guess you could say her main weakness is that she actually is dependent on getting somebody as a host body, because she's a bodiless life form. She has all of the hacksy stuff that all the telepath top tiers can do. She can literally read your mind, go in the minds of everybody, and pretty much render herself undetectable and walk past everybody like they don't even see her. Hiding your presence, one can say. And I guess she can't penetrate psionically like this Magneto helmet. So that's why everybody's wearing Magneto helmets. A helmet impenetrable to a telepath. Implied she can erase your memory. There's implications she's responsible for help amp up other psionic beings like Emma Frost. A psionic being that can straight up fly. Looks like she can do some intangibility stuff, like Wolverine can't even stab her, then goes through the wall. She can use debris around her to create armor out of the blue, or just use psionic armor type stuff. Like this, for example, it's kind of like a psionic shell, and can make psionic constructs like this, to grab you. But let's analyze her might fully. Usually when you're a psionic being, you don't need physical strength, so that's kind of her thing. She doesn't really need it. She can kind of amp her physical strength up if she needed to by putting psionic energy around her blows anyway or something. But what she shines at is her telekinesis, her blast power, raw concussive force with her blast, stuff like that. If you're one of those few people that like to wear a helmet to protect your mind, well, she can kind of just telekinetically lift it up off your head to protect her. So that's the thing about her. She's scary because she's a psionic being and a telekinetic being. Beast was charging. She blasted him. Even when characters like Wolverine try to pull up, she can literally blast the flesh off his arm. Since this being lacks appearances, the best way to understand her true might is her battles with the powerhouses of the X-Men and such, like Jean Grey, for example. But yeah, before getting to Jean Grey, she could do little light stuff like after controlling your mind, she can blow your head apart, kind of like that girl from The Boys, the head popper. She can do that too. Telekinesis wise, she's blasted a hole in this little hover ship right here. You see her blasting through it. You can look at it like she can do some omnidirectional blast to where you can blow the windows out and kind of like a psychic burst type of thing. But yeah, back to Jean Grey. That's the best way to understand her might. Jean Grey is one of those beings that people underestimate. Oh, she's not that strong without the Phoenix. Well, she's actually pretty strong telekinetically without the Phoenix. Occasions like this clashing and overpowering her kind of implies that Cassandra's up there with Jean Grey's full power without the Phoenix, of course. Also, the surrounding area also implies she could easily blow away buildings. She doesn't have that many feats, but the feats she does have kind of gives you some potency on how much blast or raw power she has. This may seem simple, but doing this is more impressive than pretty much everything I mentioned so far, doing this to Jean Grey's base form. I want you guys to remember that Jean Grey, without even relying on the Phoenix, can like match beings like Gladiator, because Jean Grey can turn into a being of pure psionic energy herself. So Cassandra Nova being able to overpower Jean Grey when Jean Grey can do this to Gladiator is kind of a big deal. I don't have to remind you what Gladiator can do physically with his punches and all that stuff. You know, he's a guy strong enough to wrestle planets from their orbits, collapse stars with his bare hands, rip apart black holes. Like, how does that even work? Like, he can rip apart black holes. Not to mention, in her own way, one could say we've kind of seen her overpower Gladiator too. You could argue she beat him via telekinesis or hacks, maybe not with just raw power, but yeah, she probably definitely can compete with him in raw power still. But yeah, why would you resort to raw power when you can just kind of cheat and beat somebody via hacks or something? You know what I mean? Because she can kind of just go in your mind and mess you up that way. There's implications she messed up his self-esteem. And you know, his powers is like, you know, based on confidence. Not to mention on occasions like this, you got when Jean Grey's like hibernating or whatever. Powerhouses like Hercules, Namor, she blasted and Hercules was having some time pushing against this blast power, this concussive force. This lets you know that Jean Grey's a heavy hitter. They call her blast that she's pushing out crushing force. Like this was some effort. Jean Grey ended up blasting Hercules backwards even though he was trying to get his footing to blast through this force. So this says a lot about Cassandra's psionic blast. She clashed with Jean Grey like this and actually made her freaking sleepy. Like Jean Grey's overpowering beings that can crush stars and planets and stuff. Like common Marvel powerhouse stuff. So with her telekinesis blast power, she should technically by default be able to easily blow up planetoids because she overpowered Jean Grey. Somebody that can overpower Gladiator, a being that can punch through planets, destroy planets, and rip apart black holes and stars. This kind of stuff would apply for Cassandra, being able to destroy planets and stars. All this stuff she should be able to destroy with her psionic blast power by default. Basically saying she can destroy millions of Earths because you can destroy the sun, you can destroy millions of Earths. I'm just saying. Her blast would basically feel worse than solar system destruction, if we're being honest. Oh, and a friendly reminder, Cassandra Nova doing this to Jean Grey with blast power is kind of impressive because Jean Grey can blast back gods like Hercules himself. You know, the same Hercules that can, you know, relieve Atlas of his duty, support the weight of a universe on his shoulders, one of the labors. Myth feat that's essential to their lore and mythos. No, they literally was holding up infinite weight. Yep, Cassandra Nova's overpowering beings that can push back Olympian gods that are this strong, guys. Like literally infinite mass weights. Like Hercules had to support Atlas in the scan. Hercules had to relieve him of his duty, you know. And it's like a common Marvel theme when it comes to them lifting his weight. So yeah, it's not an outlier. Hercules basically lifted infinite weight for 3 hours. Cassandra Nova overpowered a being that overpowered the same Olympian. You get the idea? With kinetic concussive blast. That would imply she's way over solar system destruction at best. Like, yeah, she's definitely way above that with blast power. You probably didn't know Jean Grey was this strong without the Phoenix. She blasted Apocalypse down here with just energy blast. So this gives you perspective on what Cassandra Nova was competing against. Jean Grey ain't no joke. Yeah, Jean Grey even blasted back all these beings, Scarlet Witch included, Thor included, and Cassandra Nova did this to the same Jean Grey. Do you see why messing up Jean Grey is impressive now? Even though she doesn't have that many feats, this feat is very dense and it's very impressive when you deep dive into it. Making Jean Grey sleepy like this is no easy feat in a pure telekinetic battle. Like, this is what makes her scary. It's like one thing controlling normal humans, but when you start controlling other top tier psionic beings, that's when stuff gets scary. Like, if you can tell Rachel to do something and she does it, yeah, you're just way above average when it comes to psionic mental manipulation. Like treating her like a literal pet and having her on a leash or in a psionic chain. As powerful as Emma Frost is when it comes to psionic ability, there's implications there might be an actual gap between Cassandra Nova and Emma. I mean, controlling humans is one thing, but when you control a whole bunch of mutant kids to attack the X-Men, I'm pretty sure they have more psychic resistance than normal humans. If you can control this many, yeah, that says a lot about your psionic ability. And I briefly brought this up earlier, but yeah, she completely took control of Charles's mind. Matter of fact, she even trapped him in her brain's right hemisphere. Even if she's nowhere near him, she's such a powerful psychic. She could do major damage from him even this far away. And this is apparently after Charles used the Cerebra, something that amplifies his mind. And she was still able to cause this much damage. She's probably like Charles's kryptonite because this is crazy. To be able to do this to him when he has Cerebra on. You remember how earlier I brought up the Sentinel stuff? Well, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. After taking out Trask, because copying the DNA stuff, Cassandra had the Sentinel slaughter out a mutant population. Cassandra infected beings with Nano-Sentinels she had secreted in her bloodstream that began dismantling the X-Men's white cell immune structures, slowly weakening them. Kind of like a plague type of thing. They even dub it this flu. These Nano-Sentinels that Cassandra can infect beings with are resistant to antibiotics. Yeah, this one can argue this is like a hack because these kind of things are like microscopic. Like how you supposed to fight something microscopic, messing up your immune system and crap, making you sicker over time and crap. 10 billion active machines in your bloodstream dismantling white cell immune structures and stuff. Imagine having the coronavirus under your control. She literally opened up this box and then went into people and starting to mess people up. These kind of things can weaken you or just pretty much brainwash you, hardwiring you differently, instantly hardwiring you, making you get hatred you didn't have originally. Thanks to this virus, she can turn ordinary people into instant mutant haters and hunters. And if it goes in a mutant, the mutant will try to take their own life. This would wipe out all mutant yeah, she really hates mutants. Like, it's something you can put in random people or mutants' bodies that pretty much make them the walking sentinel. They call it Sentinels Are Us. Cassandra had some crazy stuff. But yeah, guys, she's a powerhouse, a psionic powerhouse in Marvel. She lacks appearances, but never forget, she has an incredible healing factor even when her neck is snapped. So her physiology is just kind of resilient. This could partly be because she can kind of go intangible like I mentioned earlier, but yeah, she literally just walks through Cyclops' beams. I mean, there's beings that literally put their fist through her head. She simply shrugs this off. Literally stabbed. After being stabbed, she counters. She's been punched so hard her jaw actually broke and just pops it back together. But she lacks appearances, less than 50 appearances, not much to go off of. This video should give you a gist of what she's made of. She can hang with the powerhouses by default, ones that can shake the whole universe itself, like classic Marvel powerhouse stuff. The raw concussive force of her power is similar to Jean Grey. She's in that tier of telekinesis kind of power output. And if you've been on this channel a while, you're probably tired of me bringing up the fact that a lot of these powerhouses can easily destroy multiple planets. Cassandra Nova is one of those beings. Hope you ain't tired of it. She's a top tier when it comes to powerhouse telekinesis. But she also agrees you should hit that like button. It would really help me out a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the donations, everybody. Respect Cassandra Nova's might. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.